All right, so let me sum up software security. Why does software have vulnerabilities? Well, because we're all human, we make mistakes. What can you do about that? You can use tools to help find things. Programmers aren't always security aware, not always aware of the consequences, so we teach you classes like this so that you get thinking about them. And the programming languages aren't always designed to make it easy to be secure. Sometimes they make it hard to be secure. So to deal with that, you can, when possible, use better languages. So if I summarize some of the stuff I've told you about you can use runtime checks, like check the bounds before writing or reading from memory to make sure it's in bounds. You can use code hardening defenses we've been talking about today. You can monitor the code at runtime for signs of misbehavior. Is it doing something that we think might be the sign of an attack? You can program your code defensively, like before you access any pointer, check whether it's null, check whether the index is in bounds. Even if you think the caller might have already done that for you, just do it just to be safe so I don't have to think hard. You can use libraries that are designed to be safe against this problem. So for instance, don't use getS, use fgetS, which will only write up to a limited amount, and you can tell it what the limit is. You can use bug finding tools like fuzz testing or static analysis to try to go check for these bugs in your code before you deploy it. You can use code review and ask someone else to review your code and check over it to make sure you haven't made any mistakes that might introduce security vulnerabilities. This can be very effective. It can also be somewhat expensive. You can use a memory-safe language, and that'll help against the class of memory safety vulnerabilities. So that's good if it's possible. You can validate untrusted input. Look at all of the inputs that I get from someone that I might not trust. They might be trying to attack me. And check things about them. Check that it's the expected format. Check that the length is a reasonable range. Check that the values are reasonable for what I'm expecting to get. Think about how it might interact with other parts of the system and try to limit what other parts of the system might be acting based on this untrusted input, because that's a potential for someone trying to attack your system. And you can try to mitigate or contain any potential damage to reduce the risk if you do have vulnerabilities like this. So for instance, you can use privilege separation. You can run system components in jails or sandboxes or VMs, like run each application mobile app in its own sandbox. This can also help to reduce the harm from vulnerabilities. And that's it for software security. Any questions?
Are there any major important vulnerabilities other than buffer overflows and other things that allow you to write your own code?
Yeah, there are lots. And you could look at this list, CWE, top 25, and you could look at other ones. Some other kinds of examples of major vulnerabilities would be missing access control checks. We talked about race conditions and time of check to time of use. When we talk about web security, you'll see we'll tell you about some more very common, important classes of common vulnerabilities. What else might I be missing? Yeah, code injection will be that's an important one. When we talk about web security, we'll talk about code injection vulnerabilities. Okay, you finished the first module in this course, so now I'd like to introduce, hooray. So I'm going to hand things over to Professor Popa, who's going to now start teaching you about cryptography. You're in luck. She's not only a world-class expert in crypto, but also in how to apply it to make systems safe, so she's a perfect person.